Greetings, I'm Elijah Sun Card 19, and this is an introductory to tarot course. And this lesson is the major arcana. So the tarot deck is split up into two major parts. Two parts. We have the major arcana, which is 22 trump cards, the big cards of the deck, and then there are 56 pip cards or minor arcana cards or suit cards, whatever you want to call them. So today, this lesson, we're going to focus on the major arcana. Now, understand that tarot is often read on many levels or deeper levels, and so it may be, some people may go back and think that my introductory to the major arcana may be somewhat simplistic in form, but remember, this is an introductory course, so I'm trying to keep things very simple enough to get you started and going. 3 or 4 years from now, when you've been a reader for a while, then you can approach tarot from a deeper, quote-unquote, deeper aspect, although you know, what is deep and what is not is also subjective. So what I would like you to do is grab the, go through your deck. You can pause the video now if you need to. Go through your tarot deck and grab the 22 major arcana cards. They are the cards that are, they all have a name at the bottom with a period after it, okay? And so, and they have a Roman numeral at the top. And starting with the Fool card, that's the first one. So besides the 0, then there's a name with a period after it, okay? Then you have the Magician with a Roman numeral at the top and a name with a period at the bottom. Usually that's a big indicator that we have the major arcana. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the major arcana. I'm going to just show some things about the card, just the general mood of each card, and I'm going to give you some keywords for each card, okay? So up first we have the Fool card, and I'll hold it up to the camera. The Fool card is, just as a guy, he's just sort of on his own, just sort of just hanging out, but he's next to a cliff, and he's next to like a flowing river or a waterfall of some sort, and it looks like he's just ready to fall in, and he just has no care in the world. And so keywords for this one's new starts, blissfulness, worry-free, or zen. There's just sort of some keywords associated with this card. Up next we have the Magician, and the Magician is a card where someone who's much more intentional about his life. He's practicing with the major elements, the wands, the swords, the cups, and the pentacles. He sort of has much more purpose in his eyes. He's much more direct, a little bit more bold. You'll notice the infinity sign, the wand. You'll notice the Ouroboros around his waist. He's much more intentional about his life. So keywords for the Magician are skills, confidence, alchemy, and adulthood. Okay, so there's someone who's growing up. Up next we have the High Priestess. Okay, this is a female figure, and note that although there are male and female figures in each card, or most cards, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a woman. Okay, a man could be operating under the High Priestess type of ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to be a woman. Okay, so she's between the pillars of the B&J, the Boaz and Jachin from the Old Testament. She has the Torah in her lap. She has a cross on her chest, an Egyptian headrest. She has a Muslim, which you'd say a crescent underneath her. So she's very well studied in religion. She's very powerful in the sense of understanding intuition, and she's just very religious and very spiritual of a card. Some keywords here is devotion. She's very quiet. She's a great listener, and she's talented in magic. Up next we have the Empress. The Empress card is often associated with motherhood and the god archetypes of the mothers. So, you know, Mother Mary, Aphrodite, just the mother figures of different religions. So here we have a woman who's supposedly pregnant. She's in front of a forest, in front of some, here we have some crops that are growing in front of her. On her dress is pomegranates, which are symbols of just abundance. She has a female sign right here underneath of her with the love. So she's often a mother figure or a wife figure. She represents that stage of life. Oh, and some keywords for her: motherhood, nurturing, growth, caring for other people. Up next we have the Emperor, which is considered the father figure of the tarot deck. He is someone who's very logical. The rams above him symbolize victory and just bullheaded and just, win at all costs. He does have a pomegranate also to represent here next to him. It represents his victories. Also, the ram's heads are victories through battle. So he's sort of warlike in a sense. The red representing the war also, but he's also a ruler and emperor. Okay, he's one of the few cards with a red sky also. His eyes are looking to his left, which is a logical approach. He's an older man, stately man. So a couple of things here: fatherhood, achievement, logical thinking, and victory in battle. Some keywords for him. Up next, we have the Hierophant. Okay, often called the Pope. Okay, that's another name for this card, is the Pope. And so this person is sort of the connection. He represents a connection between heaven and earth. He's a teacher. He represents church and school, and he's a leader. Okay, he's got the people in front of him who he's sort of teaching, and they seem to be older gentlemen also. So he's teaching the teachers. He's got the keys in front of him, the locked keys, so it indicates that he's someone who's sort of a gatekeeper of sorts, but definitely a teacher. He's also between two pillars. He has a triple crown and a triple staff. It just represents the mind, body, spirit connections, and he's a sort of the intermediary between the spiritual and the physical. Okay, some keywords here: leadership, spiritual advancement, traditional beliefs, and teacher. Up next, we have the Lover's card. This is very similar to the Garden of Eden scene. We have an angel. It's said to be Archangel Gabriel. Then we have what's depicted as could be Adam and Eve. It's not said explicitly in the book, but we do have a snake, and we have apples, and sort of the tree of good and evil, or knowledge of good and evil, seen from, and this could be like the Garden of Eden, and this is just them loving each other. Okay, so it represents their love for each other and sort of being in a happy, blissful place. So keywords here is love, taking advice, union, and avoiding temptations. Up next, we have the Chariot. This card is a great sign of duality, for those who understand duality as far as black and white and contrasts, just sort of this or that type of thinking and lifestyle. This Chariot is a symbol of movement, victory, and being very goal-oriented. He's a soldier, he's a warrior. He's just, he's ready to go after it. He's just going after it, and he's very victorious. It's sort of a theme for this card is being victorious. Someone who's very focused on the physical aspects of life is another sign for this card. Up next, we have Strength. Okay, this is now often you'll see some tarot decks who switch the 8 and 11. So Strength and Justice cards could be switched back and forth. In this case, the Strength card is number 8, and this represents a woman. She also has an infinity symbol, just like the Magician did. So you'll see some common symbols, and she is controlling this lion, and she sort of tamed this lion with her bare hands. She doesn't have a whip or a chain or anything like that. No chair, no food or anything. She's literally just tamed this lion with her bare hands. So she often represents the idea of controlling the inner animal or the animal self that each human possesses. So some keywords here: we have strength, self-control, and emotional intelligence. Up next, we have the Hermit. And the Hermit is a card that is about, it's a man by himself on a mountaintop with a lamp. And so it's just someone who, some keywords here: we have lonely exploration, being alone, and creating a path for others. So he could be seen as a leader, someone who's a little bit older, more reflective about life, and someone who's willing to be on their own. And even that leads to creating a path for others, or a trailblazer. Up next, we have the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, what you'll see in the Wheel of Fortune, some ideas will come back also in the world. So the Wheel of Fortune is about timing, stability in motion, and change. This is a card of change. So sometimes it can represent really good timing, and it could represent bad timing. Just know that things are fluctuating. And some other things that I think for this card is strike while the iron is hot. Up next, we have the Justice card. In some decks, in this deck, it's number 11. In some decks, it is number 8. This card is about the law, legal system, about logical thinking, and on overall fairness. So the keywords: law, fairness, and mental balance, being strong mentally. you'll see the sword there is also a sign of being mentally strong. Up next, we have the Hanged Man. This is someone who is floating freely, just have the one ankle tied up. You'll notice that the hands may or may not be bound, but the person doesn't have an expression on their face that they're stuck. They're hanging out. They're not someone who was trapped and bound. They're someone who's sort of voluntarily hanging. Some keywords here, we have sacrifice, patience, and seeing things from a new perspective. So this person is often seeing things from a new perspective. And I also look at his hair, and he sort of just looks like a candle to me. So someone who could be bringing light to a situation. Up next, we have the Death card, one of the more feared cards in the deck, because people often think that it represents literally death, which it can, but that's generally, mostly, it's not the case. Okay, what death represents really is change, transitions, and phases. So in the winter, it looks like the trees are dying when they shed their leaves, but they're not really dying. They're just preparing for the spring that's coming ahead. So you'll look in the background. This scene in the background with the light and the two pillars, that scene is going to come back up when we look at the Moon card. Okay, but this is the white horse of death, and it's just carrying you through transitions. It means it's time to move on to a different phase of your life. Up next, we have Temperance. And Temperance is a card of miracles. Here we have the angel again. It's said to be Archangel Gabriel. And you'll notice that the water is being poured up and down through the cups. We have a crown in the background. We have the foot in the water. This card is often associated with emotional balance, fairness, miracles, moderation, and keeping vices in check. Okay, so make sure that you're, drinking, smoking, things like that, gambling. Those things are under control and not out of whack. Up next, we have the Devil card, probably the most feared card in the deck. And you'll see that this is sort of a play on the Six Lovers card. This looks like the same two figures, naked, stuck. Now, instead of an angel of life, it's sort of an angel of death in between them. And you'll see that this angel is very similar to the Baphomet, I think that's how it's pronounced, figure as the devil. This card is about bondage, lack of control, toxic relationships, and addictions. Okay, so this is sort of being stuck by your lack of control. Up next, we have the Tower, or the Blasted Tower. As some would say, the Tower of Babel. And this is man's attempt to make his way up to heaven. And in a sense, this it didn't work. So they were struck down, and they couldn't buy or build their way to heaven. They had to get back to the ground and sort of do it the right way. So this card is about chaos, sudden change, false beliefs, poor communication. Also, someone described this card one time and said, this is a card that says life won't let you get too far away from your path. So if you do things wrong for too long, something is going to happen that's going to sort of smack you back on the right path. Up next, we have the Star card. And this is a card of healing. It's sort of like you're back on the ground now after the Tower. This is a card of ambition, healing, hope for the future, and sort of a pause in action. So again, we have a foot in the water scene. So that's just a symbol of healing and reconnecting to the things that you love. Up next, we have the Moon card. And now we have that scene from the Death card with those two pillars and the sun or moon between it, with the path routing up between it. The Moon card is also associated with cycles, fluctuation, and the need for patience. Okay, this is saying that the moon works in cycles, and you need to be able to sort of go with the flow, and don't bet your situation on being one way forever. So things could change. Up next, we have the Sun card. Of course, it's my favorite card. This card is about stability. It's about love. It's about prosperity, renewal, confidence, and happiness. It's just a strong, loving card. Some say that this could represent Jesus in terms of the white horse, the be like a baby, and the sun itself. Up next, just two more, we have the Judgment card. And this is also seen as Archangel Gabriel at the clarion call for souls to rise and be judged. So it could represent that if you are heavily religious, but this card really, to me, represents a call to action. It's like your heart and your soul calling you to do something or be something. So we have a call to action: improve your karma, remove regret, and listen to your soul's call. And last, we have the World card, and this is a very stable card. It's sort of the victory lap. You've already made it. You made it through the journey. So this is the World. It's associated with stability, structure, balance, completion, victory, and accomplishments. So that is the major arcana. Please watch this video many, many times so that you can sort of capture those ideas over and over again. Thank you.